Good evening, Super League fans and managers. I have now switched the sound on, which will probably help. We are here for round nine of the Super League. Time does indeed fly. Can't believe we're pretty much more than a. Will this be a third through the season? I don't do maths at this time of the evening. Joining me in the studio tonight, we have Scott. Good evening, Scott.
Evening, Martin. Good evening, everybody.
And this time we are actually live. So, any problems with the sound or anything in the comments, please just let us know. I'll see if I can keep a track of any comments coming in. Right, let's have a quick look first of all at the results from the most recent fixtures. If we take them top to bottom, um, Asta looks as if they've been finding a bit of form, but they came a cropper here. Laddersford Patsa Sockley with two goals. What did you make of this game, Scott?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit tighter, to be honest. Obviously, Astor have been in good form. Hodges really dropped on something with Pat Satsoglu in centre midfield. He just, he gets questioned week after week, and then he just churns out performances and goals and assists week after week. So, yeah, Laddersford looked really good early doors this season, sort of continuing where they left off last season. So they'll definitely be right in the mix.
Yeah, I think they had one poor result, but as you mentioned there, Patsa Soklu is definitely off to a good start to the season. They're very solid, and he works in that central midfield, which I think has surprised a few people, to be honest. Um, Yourself, a draw with Northern Burn. I mean, we can maybe speak a little bit about your season later on as we get to your game, but positives to take from this one?
Um, yeah, look, we've had 3 or 4 away games on the trot before this one. Um, we were looking forward to getting back at home. I thought we would before the game. I expected us to dominate, create a lot of chances, but as it happened, we came up against a relatively informed Burnside, and we didn't create a great deal. And on the face of it, probably lucky to get away with a late point. So yeah, it stopped the rot, if you like, but
Yeah.
realistically, we've got to be winning at home.
It's a point on the board. I mean, if one thing positive, you can. I mean, at least there weren't any like complete howlers. Eto weren't brilliant at halftime, but at least there's eights and not a bunch of goals conceded, which has been a bit of a problem so far this season. Someone else who's had a bit of a of a troublesome season, Churchtown. It looked as if they were ahead in this one, obviously against Boston, but Boston just managed to grind out that 2-1 win. I mean, Del Vecchio coming in is a bit of a surprise package, but he's done well for Boston this season. Came in from Asta, who didn't really find much use for him. Boston going to be there and thereabouts, I guess, this season. But what do you make of Churchtown? A little bit of a similar situation to yourselves.
Yeah, I think probably still searching for probably their best 11 and perhaps a formation. They've tinkered a little bit. They did a bit of business and tried to freshen it up again. But yeah, it's just not ticking for the minute. For the minute, I think they're one of them sides that if they do tick, and I think we saw last season, sort of around about a similar stage, they went on a run of about 4 or 5 wins and made it look like they were going to be in the mix, and then they went on an absolutely stinking run after that, where I don't think they won in about 10. In terms of Boston, I mean, they'll be in the mix. I don't think they've been as impressive as they were last season.
Hmm.
Del Vecchio definitely a good signing. He's coming, he's contributing with goals and assists, and again, another one of these players that people have questioned. And Greaves has said, "Well, do you know what? I know what I'm getting with him. I trust him. I know what I'm doing." And again, he's proving people wrong, which he just seems to have done ever since he joined the league at the start of last season.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, we'll have a look at the Boston lineup for this evening later, but interesting to see how it's worked out for him with the players that he's brought in. That not necessarily the big names, but he obviously knows what he's doing and what he's going to get from those players. We had the Devils as well. I mean, Oliver Kahn getting a man of the match awards for the Dragons there, but uh, I mean, they were looking strong last season, Devils, but they kind of stumbled a little bit towards the end, especially in the playoffs. Obviously, this season they're perhaps looking even stronger. Would that be a fair assessment?
Devils,
Hmm.
yeah, Devils are looking imperious at the minute. I think they're definitely going to be the side to beat this season. I think they probably should have topped the table last season, but didn't quite get there, and probably their playoff run ended probably prematurely. If you sort of were to ask the other managers and
Mm.
speak to Fife in terms of his expectations, I think he will have probably expected to make the final. I think this year he will definitely finish in the top two, and at this stage, an early favourite for the title.
Yeah, well, they definitely put some good results together. To be fair to Dragons, though, I mean, apart from this particular game, they've actually been much improved on last season as well. Not entirely sure what it's down to. We can maybe speak a little bit about that in depth when we get to the Dragons game, but which will be very soon actually. But that's been a decent season for them so far as well. Dudley Hill and Gazelles, two of the high flying teams at the early on in the season. Gazelles look. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen anything from Craig and his side in terms of top performances from the team, but they've gotten off to a really good start as well, haven't they? Dudley and Gazelles, any surprises for you in this game in terms of the result or the performance?
I think the biggest surprise is that Ivan Pellet's only got a 5 and they won.
Mm.
Um, to score 3 goals away at Dudley, I think you probably deserve to win. They've been good this season. They've started well. I think Steele were disappointed with Oliver Davies' performance after bringing him in. He'll obviously be disappointed that Bowyer's been sent off. It'll be a massive miss. He's probably their best player. In terms of Gazelles, they showed signs last season that they could put a run of games together and on the day could blow anyone away, but were a little inconsistent. They've kicked on a little bit this year. I think they've been settled in terms of the formation, the scoring goals. So again, they'll definitely be up there in the mix.
Yeah, good working formation that he's got there. Craig usually not playing a formation that is sort of like widely used by all of the managers, but he's definitely getting a tune out of it this time. I was Chewy had this his debut didn't go too well, to be honest. Questionable if we'll see him again, but we'll get to that later. And Haggis Hunters picked up a famous win here, and with Shevchenko scoring, you've got to almost have been there to believe it, against Hull's Vikings, who after a brilliant start have sort of like dropped a little bit. Haggis Hunters, is this the turnaround point for them? They have such a strong squad, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's been mentioned numerous times, but there's no excuses for Ian now. He's got the squad, he's strengthened the positions he wanted. So he got
Mm.
the top class striker that he was saying he was missing. That was the difference. So let's hope for Ian's sake that this is not just a flash in the pan and they can really kick on, because you look at their 11 on paper, there's probably not many stronger. So yeah, they need to start delivering results with that team.
Yeah, surprised to see them in 10th with a squad, or 12th rather, with a squad like that at their disposal. Last but not least, we had the Sloths, who've been struggling a little bit, and Fulchester getting a result away from home. Baldib, man of the match performance from him, a little bit surprising. He was quite expensive. I mean, brought him in, but look at his performance. He's done very very well. Very solid defensive display from him. I was a little bit surprised about that, but he's done well. Um, any he's still using Michael Owen, who's, well, I mean, he's got 4 assists, which I guess is a good thing. Um, Anything stopping Fulchester from repeating their performance of last season, or have they just been a little bit unfortunate so far?
I mean, look, they've not started as well as they were last season. They've not been as tough to break down in across their 8 games this season. In spells like this game, for example, they've been extremely solid, but I think on the whole, they've probably not been as imperious as they were.
Mm, yeah, difficult to score against. Sorry.
Maka was so keen to get. Obviously knew, yeah, they are so difficult to score against. Yeah, Maka was so keen to get Baldy in, and he just seems to find central defensive partnerships that just work. Baldy and Valharan are doing great this season. He had a great centre back partnership at Parma for Nikos as well,
Indeed.
which I guess is sort of the starting point for their defensive line and being tough to beat. Will they kick on again? Look, we all know what Chris Mack is capable of. I still think they're a striker short. I don't think Saviola's going to get 15, 20 goals. Michael Owen's not. Comandini's not. Maka was keen to bring Beckham in. I don't rate him at all. I don't care whether you play him centrally or you play him out wide. Just not for me. On the game, I've never seen him produce great numbers. Personally, other guys probably have. But look, because of what we know, what Maka's capable of, they will probably drag themselves into the mix. Are they strong enough to go a stage or two further this year? I'm not sure.
Well, we'll definitely see. And sloths, well, we'll get to sloths later and potential transfer dealings. Well, I don't say potential. I think they've been agreed the transfer dealings, haven't they? So, but more on that later, I'm sure. Let's take the opportunity to say hello and good evening to everyone else in the chat. I was just noticing there's been some discussions about the recent ongoings at where was it? At Bolton, at Manchester United. Obviously, something happened at Manchester United today. People weren't happy at all. And we don't have that kind of stuff to worry about in the Super League, obviously. Jens is here, Ryan is here, looks as if a full house in terms of managers. Ian Edwards, Devils managers, Fifey is here, Alf, Duggan, Mega Horse, Dimble. Yeah, a bunch of people in the chat. Looking forward to getting your feedback throughout the evening, guys. Um, and then maybe a quick look at the league table just to remind ourselves. Devils obviously out in front, looking to build on that tonight, and some teams down at the bottom that are looking to start to pick up some points. I mean, no one's really adrift, so to speak. I mean, 12 points to four is not unmanageable, but it is. It's probably time to start picking up a couple of wins. But yeah, I mean, even Haggis with 5 goals all season are have just got a win. So could all be about to change down at that end this evening. So this is how we line up in terms of the fixtures. We've got Ast Athletic coming up first against the Dragons. We'll skip the Stanley against Vikings. Jens is suffering from a hangover apparently, and he'll be delighted to hear that he's on last. So we'll see if he manages. We've got the Churchtown Northern Burn, Dudley Fulchester, um, Chris Macker probably asleep as well. Haggis Hunters against Lettersford. There's a couple of interesting, well, actually, pretty much all of them are pretty interesting games here tonight. But we'll see what comes up in terms of the pick of the bunch. Don't know about that, Martin. The Haggis fans are notorious. Oh, all right, okay, yeah. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the Haggis fans have been setting fire to, but yeah, we'll see. What I'm just trying to follow up on some of the comments here. We're talking about protest against the Oldham owner on Saturday, but I don't think 12 at the ground will hit the BBC News headlines somehow. Ah, well, this is all the rage today, apparently. Back in the world of the Super League, we started the evening with Ast Athletic against the Dragons. So let's see if this is going to work. There we go. Um, First of all, let's have a look at the Asta Athletic formation. So let's have a look first of all of the fixtures. So they obviously Asta went off like pretty poor start to the season. Then they had a win, a draw, and a win. And then just as they were starting to pick up a little bit of pace and some home games here, they lost that game to Leathersford. Um, he's changed it a little bit. Moved Rui Costa up to the AMC, put Scholl in. Torricelli comes in. Matt Holland is at right back. Fowler and Shearer up front. What do you make of the Aston lineup, Scott?
Um, I mean, it feels a little bit better than last season, where for me, the Aston squad was the worst in the league comfortably last season. Um, I think Alf will be disappointed that he's picked up some positive results away from home, coming to a run of home fixtures, and then had a defeat last time out. Um, I mean, I'm not too sure about Matt Holland at right back. I thought Raymer was doing okay. Um, Torricelli again, he's okay. He's versatile, but I'm not sure he's going to turn up any trees. Shearer's chipped in with a couple of goals, but you wouldn't have thought that Shearer and Fowler at this level are going to be a partnership that are going to fire you to the heights that Astor aspiring to be.
Well, it would be a shock to many if that was to come to fruition for sure. I don't think either player has had much of pedigree in terms of the Super League, but Robbie Fowler not off to a bad start to be completely honest. And as you mentioned there, Shearer's chipped in with 3 goals in 7, which is not bad either. Sort of Batistuta-ish kind of Super League contribution, a little bit on the slow side perhaps with 12 and 15 for acceleration. Would maybe like a little bit of a faster player up front at this level. Mehmet Scholl, another unknown quantity. He's obviously still got plenty of 20s, but aging a little bit and perhaps, I mean, didn't do particularly well last season, but can possibly deliver. Rui Costa did okay for Valen. It'll be interesting to see. He's got Peruzzi in goal tonight. None of his keepers have really been, well, you know fine well yourself what it's like when you've got 3 keepers that are, you know, not not doing particularly well. Although Andre has come back for you now, and I think he got an 8 last time out, and I believe he's starting tonight as well. But yeah, I think Alf's obviously trying to get the most out of the players that he's got at his disposal, while keeping true to the
Yeah,
using slightly older player
yeah, I
methodology
think,
as well.
um, and this is my third season in the league, and Alf always seems to be the one that struggled, maybe a touch more than anybody else with goalkeepers. But yet we've been through 4 or 5 transfer windows, and I've never seen him try and go and sign a marquee goalkeeper, which maybe it's something he's maybe for him to think about moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of older goalkeepers in the league if he wants to if he wants to keep the kind of meta of using old players going there. So there should be opportunities aplenty. And he does have half decent players. I mean, as you mentioned, there's perhaps not the strongest squad in the league, but he does have some half decent players there at his disposal. It's just a question of obviously getting them all contributing at the same time. They're up against the Dragons. I think a slight change to the Dragons lineup from the midweek fixtures here. Is a different tactic being deployed. We still have Seaman. Apparently, they still have David Seaman somewhere. Um, yeah, for the Dragons, so the back four are very similar, if not identical, but they're going back with the three AMCs, Callback and Asamoah behind Constantino. Uh, what we talked about stability and decisions being made as a collective and things like that as one of the keys behind the Dragons having a slightly better season this season than they've had in the past. Anything else that you can put your finger on in terms of the Dragons squad?
Yeah, I think the fact that they've got a settled formation, they know what they want to do. They set out in their transfer window to build their team around a set formation, which is this or a similar version of this. And for the record, I think they did really good business. They've got numbers and performances from Joe Cole that I didn't get last year, so
Mm,
credit for that. I think they brought in Davids. You know, their back six is extremely solid.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think they've got a chance to be in and around the mix. I'm just not sure that over the course of 26 games that front four is going to have enough in terms of contributing for goals. I know they're desperate to sign a striker. They've badgered me for the area for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm not sure what other options they've got other than Batstu who, like you say, can be hit and miss, similar to how Shearer's been.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll see. I think they're going to be a lot more solid. They're not going to concede as many goals as last season,
Mm-hmm.
but it's whether they can. They've got enough to put away the chances that they create to get over the line in games.
Yeah, Hodge just saying that is the best Joe Cole in the Super League he's ever seen, and I think most people can attest to that. I mean, 4 goals and 2 assists, 6 goal contributions in 8 games, and a 788 average, plus not a bad performance in whatever it was he was playing there. But yeah, it's been a strong start to the season from him, and key if they're going to go on to get something out of it. Great analysis, Scott. Echoes exactly what we think of the squad. Is what Duggan comes up with there. Predictions are already flying in. Fifey says 3-1 away win. Greasy with the 2-1 home win. Mega Horse 2-2 draw. Jens says 2-1 Asta. Scott, how do you see this one going? Could be a close one, I think.
Yeah, it certainly could. Um, I think Dragons will create chances. Whether they can take them, I'm not sure. I think Asta. I think it'll be a tight game. Asta are going to be probably pretty tough to break down.
Mm.
It could go either way. I'm going to 2-1 either way. I'm not sure which way.
Well, there's nothing wrong with sitting on the fence every now and again. We'll kick this one off and see if Asta can get a win here at home to the Dragons. I'm not sure the color combinations of the kids tonight is not it's not ideal, but let's kick it off and see how it goes in the first half. Shearer plenty involved in the first 5 minutes. I think 3 or 4 chances with his name involved already. Fowler's been up there as well. Lots of Astra Athletic pressure here. Yellow cards being handed out for the Dragons central defenders or DMCs even, but they hit them on the break. It's Bauma, another former Bostock Stanley player, or Chudley Cannons or whatever it was. But it's Fowler's who's oh my goodness, I can't even keep up here. Fowler had a goal disallowed now. 24 minutes in, and Astra are still banging on the door quite heavily. Could be another man of the match performance for Oliver Kahn. I hope I haven't jinxed it for him now. Let's see. 10 minutes left of the first half. It continues to be all Asta with the odd Dragons counter. And oh, the goal! Another disallowed. The second disallowed goal of the half. It was Joe Cole with the assist there, but ruled out. I can't. It was Constantino who scored, but it was ruled out. Right. So to summarize, Palmer puts Dragons 1-0 ahead. Fowler almost immediately equalizes. That's ruled out for offside. Asta continues to pile on the pressure. Dragons do get a second, but that's also ruled out for offside. Um, there's a whole lot of action in that half. What did you make of that, Scott?
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting, entertaining first 45 minutes to kick the show off. It felt like Aston were quite dominant. But, going back to what we're saying about Dragons being clinical and taking the chances, they've had 2 shots on target, they've scored one, they've also had a goal disallowed. So, yes, they've soaked up pressure, they've lived dangerously. But Khan's probably, had a good half. Baumer, they'll be delighted with to contribute because he's one of them players that will tick over with a steady rating, but doesn't always contribute in terms of goal contributions. So that'll be pleasing that they're going to that they're able to spread the goals out throughout the team. Alf will be desperately disappointed that they've effectively dominated that half, and they've come away with nothing.
Yeah, first half champing, says Alf. It definitely was. Let's have a look at the Dragon side here and see if Wood or Duggan or anyone, I say or anyone, if Wood or Duggan or even Jamie want to make any substitutions here. Wilfred Brahma with a direct free kick. I don't know where that came from, but he obviously managed to direct it into the back of the net. So pretty solid from him. Overall, not the best performance for Dragons as we saw in the stats there. Um, Constantino, Constantino, Super League quality for you?
Um, I mean, I think he could do a job as a squad player. I don't think he's a striker. I think he'd probably be better off, if they could drop Constantino into where Samoa's playing and bring in a striker. That's
Hmm.
probably what they're looking to do. To be honest, if you were to ask them, that's probably what they'd do. Would you get more out of Batistuta up front and drop Asamoah? Possibly. But they're probably just a bit fed up of playing Batistuta, him not doing it, or chipping in every now and again. They're probably trying to move away from Batistuta in and out every week and trying to find a formula that will work without him.
Yeah, and I mean I mean this got to be his last season anyway. I mean you can play him in season 3, but I'm not sure what the point would be unless you're in a very very weak league, which we definitely aren't. I can see some discussion there. Woodia and Duggan going Sowery, which I guess is for direct for I don't know, direct swap for who?
Emerton, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Oh well, we'll see if they confirm it. But I presume so. But just let us know what you want to do, guys. Sorry for Emerton as above. Oh, for Emerton. Sorry, I didn't see that one. Right, didn't see the initial comment. We'll get that done. There we go. And then we'll go and have a look at Aster and their first half performance. Plenty of key passes in there. They have been coming forward. Fowler with 2 shots, not on target. Shiro with 4. Nedved with some good finishing as well. Anything Alf you think Alf should do different in the second half, other than just hope that his luck changes?
Yeah, I mean, I would be looking to bring on a different attacking player, but you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and you think, is he any better than what they've got? No, he's absolutely not. Um, is there a place for Denilson? Probably. I mean, you could probably drop Rui Costa back, swap him with Shaw and put Denilson at AMC, maybe.
Yeah, he's
Um,
actually going. OGS for Mehmet, and then Solskjaer in that one in the AMC role.
yeah, I mean, that's the change I would have made. I wouldn't have brought Solskjaer, and I'd have chosen Denilson. But look, it's Alf's team. He knows what he's doing, and so.
Yeah. Solskjaer did exceptionally well in Division Two in my Hereford save in that position. So who knows? Maybe it'll work in the Super League as well. You can't rule anything out at this stage. We'll kick it off the second half here, and we'll see if that change is going to be enough for Asta. They certainly had the chances. Be interesting to see if they can convert any of them in the second half as we kick this one off. Um, oh well, there you go. There was the answer to the question. Solskjaer definitely can make a difference in that particular position. He's come on and equalised for Asta there with 48 minutes on the clock, just a couple of minutes into the second half. It looks as if Dragons are having a little bit more of the ball here in the second half, and it's Back who puts the Dragons back in front. But Shearer immediately hits back with the equaliser. Dragons now 2-2 against Asta away from home here. We've slowed it down for a little bit just to get the last couple of exciting minutes here of what has been a cracking opening to the evening. Oof, Rui Costa there coming forward as well, as he did some important goals for Valen back in the day. Now it's Asamoah from Dragons, but Peruzzi delivers the ball upfield after collecting it. 4 minutes of added time. Let's see if anyone can find a winner here. It's Shearer in the area, but Khan saves. It's a corner for Asta, but I think they managed to just about hold on, and there is the final whistle. Indeed, they did manage to hold on. Second half pretty much on par with the first one in terms of action. It was a good opening game for this evening, Scott.
Yeah, definitely. I think once Astor equalised early doors, you would have probably said it was going to be one-way traffic. I think the Dragons lads will be delighted to have got a goal back and take a point from that. You know, they've on the balance of play, Astor probably deserved to nick it. Um, but Dragons will be delighted that they've had 4 shots on target, they've scored 2, and they'll take a point away from them most definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely always good to pick up the points away. Helped to bring Sauri on. He got an 8 in the second half and an assist there. Apart from that, it was a little bit sort of just a steady evening. Joe Cole only with a 7, not really involved that much. Quite a few misplaced passes from him. Back obviously with the goal, but only on the 7. So yeah, I mean it's reflected, isn't it, in the stats of the Dragons player, the fact that they didn't really create that many chances.
Yeah, look, they've only had 4 shots on target. 2 of them have come from their left back.
True.
You know, them attacking players, there's not been a great deal of key passes either. Just sort of what we alluded to before the game. You know, that front four, I just think they're going to want a little bit more from them. They're going to need a little bit more from them if they're going to kill games off.
Yeah, indeed. And if we look down at the other end of the pitch, Rui Costa inspired to move him back to to that central midfield role there and put the OGS on. 2 assists for Rui Costa on the night. Alan Shearer, he's not letting up in terms of goal scoring. That will be what his fifth. Is that his fourth? 4 goals in 8. I mean, it's not the best return, but you know you can't be too critical about it. But Rui Costa, could he be? I mean, that'll be him on 6 assists now. Surprised to see Rui Costa being so influential.
No, not really. I think he's a quality player. I think we'll definitely see him drop that little bit deeper for next time, where he played in the second half. But yeah, I mean, it feels like he just fits the system. Nedved and Rui Costas are doing their, you know, creative players, feeding the forward players. I like it.
Yeah, I mean it worked out well. I mean, I think they're always quite well thought through. Alp's lineup, his tactics. Sometimes the players kind of fail to execute a little bit, whether it's because they're not good enough or whether it's just bad luck or whatever. But it always seems to be thought through. Yeah, when he put players in different positions, he's analysed the stats, as you mentioned there. Matt Holland perhaps out of position in a proper right back, but in the end, he's got the acceleration, he's got the marking. He should be able to play there. Good stamina for those runs as well. So yeah, credit to Al for getting a good result there in the first game of the evening, and 2-2 draw with Dragons in a very entertaining game. Um, Next up, we're gonna go to Churchtown against Northern Burn. So, Mr. Edwards, you are up next. Let's have a look first of all at the Churchtown. So, I think just one change for Churchtown. He brings in Mendes da Silva. He keeps the tactic, brings in Mendes da Silva instead of Kalatza, who's suspended, and I think that's about it. Um, yeah, I mean, as we mentioned there in the beginning, they're kind of in the same situation as yourselves. They've not really started the season properly yet. Um, Edilson comes in as well. I think that was the other change that he made. So I'm just double checking that to make sure I've got everything covered. In the meantime, Scott, one at the back, Mendes da Silva, Elba up top. You mentioned that he's trying to improve the squad a little bit, but it's it's tricky, isn't it, to keep up really when with the top teams.
Yeah, it is, especially when the squad probably wasn't that strong to start with. I think Kieran has done some relatively good business. In terms of the lineup, I mean, there's some very good plays in there, and it's got the makings of a good 11. I think personally, I would probably drop one of the three AMCs to a second centre back, in line with what a lot of the guys play. I'd also like to see Totti a little bit further forward. I think he'd be much more influential at AMC. He's probably the best player alongside Zanetti.
Mm,
Davis and Mendes de Silva are decent. I think another couple of seasons they'll improve, they'll develop. Okoronkwo was very good last season, I believe.
mm,
Elbert scored last time out as well, I think, or got a couple of goals.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. I mean, Bergkamp, I was pleased to see him included, but at what cost almost? It's good to see some players that we haven't seen so much of before being included in the Super League. Just thinking maybe he could maybe play someone else or use a different player, play two up top or something. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, he's got Totti playing half decent, but as usual, not contributing. I mean, he didn't. Valen was struggling to get anything out of him. Sloss and Dudley got 3 goals and 2 assists out of him in 24 games in the previous season. So will Totti come good? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
He'll
Um,
probably come good around the same time Zidane does.
Probably. And both managers seem intent on playing both of them on for all eternity. So we'll see how it goes with Totti and Zidane. I think Totti's probably got a few years on Zidane, so he's got a bit of a better chance of making it just for longevity. Northern Burn completely unchanged, if I remember rightly, from Mr. Edwards' instructions. But a bit like the Dragons, they're a team who's had a better start to the season than I mean, it's still, I mean, ninth is not fabulous, but they are only 2 points off, so they've definitely had a better season than they've had in recent years anyway. Um, Very strong squad as well, really, aren't they, Northern Burn?
It is a really strong squad. I think in terms of their points on the board so far, similar to last season, too many draws. I think they've drawn half the games already. In terms of the lineup, I really struggling to find a weakness. I really like it. I like the players. Contra is a massive plus for them, and one of Ian's favourites. George Atos has always been solid. I think personal preference, I wouldn't have Fiore. I'm not sure who else he's got. I don't think I'd have been trying to sign him, but that's just personal preference. He may
Hmm.
well. I think he chipped in a little bit for Sloss last year. Del Piero, he's again one of them players who some people have had a lot of success with, and others haven't. Have we seen the best of him in the Super League? Probably not. Um, I think for me, I'd probably play the two together up front and Del Piero at AMC by himself, but then you probably don't
Hmm.
get the best out of Maxim in a partnership. So there's all these different things that'll be weighing on Ian's mind when he's looking at his team. I think predominantly he's lining up to try and get Maxim to score goals.
Yeah, I suppose that would be your go-to, wouldn't it? And it's worked okay for him so far this season.
Yeah,
I think as you mentioned there, Del Piero. I think Del Piero has had his Zidane moment. He has had his 10 with the 2 goals, and I'm not sure how much we'll see from him for the rest of the season. Whereas Robin, Ian Robin is chilling. He's chilling on the in the. He's a squad player. There's no need for for Ian Robin. Both Ryan and Duggan are putting a putting a missing persons advert out for for
yeah.
Ian
To
Robin.
be honest, it's a big surprise that Robin's not in. I think if Del Piero doesn't bang tonight, then you probably see Robin come back in next time. But I'd definitely be on the bench if he wasn't starting. I mean, but you look how he's done so far this season. Not great, but he's one of them players that when you play him week in week out, he'll just get better and better and better and better.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, he is still super young, but yeah, he should definitely be considered. His 20 passing, his 19 flair, and his half decent creativity combined as well should set him up for a good assist maker. And he did get a 9 in his last game out, but obviously his manager's been a little bit tired of his sort of like. This is also where it matters, isn't it? You can have a player who,
Yeah,
like Baumer, you mentioned earlier, who can play like 7.5 average, but if he gets like 2 assists and a goal in 20 games, then you could maybe get something more out of something else. But yeah, as you say there, it's lined up to get Tsigalco to score some goals. Now the question is, oh, is Northern Burns tasty away kit again? I do like that. In terms of goals, do you see Tsigalco hitting the back of the net tonight? Can Kieran maybe squeeze a win here? What do you think, Scott?
Do you know what I fancy Burn? I think Cesarco up again one on one with Okoronkwo. I think Henri and Del Piero will create chances behind against Mendes de Silva and Davis. Elbert as a lone striker could probably chip in with a goal or two. But I fancy Burn maybe 2-0.
Could be a Northern Burn night. Drew Duggan says 3-1 away win. Greaves says 3-0 away win. Steve Wright 2-1 away win. Ryan says 1 and then a dash. I'm not sure what what number he's missed out. Five he says 1-1 draw. Well, it could obviously it yeah, I think it's slightly in favour of an away win.
A
There's
big
not a
chance for Kieran to issue a big fuck you to everybody else in the comments down then.
yeah, well, there's not a lot of love for a home win so far, so we'll see. Mega Horse goes with an away win. Rob says, Rob, who's changed from his sloth, were you not on your sloth account earlier? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, not a lot of love for a home win, but we'll kick it off and we'll see how it goes in the first half. Hopefully, as exciting as the first game. That was a cracker. Oh, Del Piero coming forward there. Yeah, it was bound to happen after I questioned his ability and mentioned that we mentioned that Robin should have been included. Then obviously Del Piero stepped straight up. It's been very active first 10 minutes here. Plenty from Churchtown again, just not scoring the goals for them. Getting the goals unfortunately for them. Um, Good save from Lehman there. And there's Del Piero again. That's his second. Unbelievable. And Fiore can't miss. That's his third Northern Bird. Really putting Churchtown to the sword here. It's been a poor start from Churchtown. Not so much in terms of play, but in terms of the goals they've conceded and how wasteful they've been themselves in front. Oof, 3-0 at half time. Uh, that's
Fantastic from Burn. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a very, very strong performance from Northern Burnham, especially from Alessandro Del Piero. They've had good possession. It's not often that you see dominant possession stats away from home. Just interested to see how they came about. Thierry Henry with a cross. I can't, I still can't. I've complained about it ever since he started doing it, which is a very long time ago now. I just can't. I can see Thierry Henry playing there in real life. I can't see him playing there in the game, but it works out very well for Ian, so it does. Um, Henry again with a cross to Del Piero. Are you kidding me? Two assists for Thierry Henry, both of them setting up um, Alessandro Del Piero. Cannavaro only with a six, but I think that's out of not really having much to do and misplacing every single pass. Look at Thierry
Yeah.
Henry with four key passes. My God.
Yeah, I think every box has been ticked for Ian, apart from maybe a Maxim goal. But when you've got Del Piero and Henri running riot, then Maxim can just run Okoronkwo ragged and make space for the guys coming in behind him. Gattuso's broke up absolutely everything that Churchtown have tried to do. His centre backs have not had a great deal to do, and the one player that you picked out and the one player that I picked out pre-game have got a goal. So all in all,
Yeah.
a perfect half.
Looks as if we'll be seeing Robin on the bench again, or even or even not next week. Certainly, if the first half is anything to go by, we'll have a look at Churchtown. I've not seen Kieran around in the comments this evening, so I'm not sure if he is. If you are Kieran, you're free to
Do
make a
something
change.
different.
I'm not sure what to say about that Churchtown performance, to be
No,
completely honest.
no. I think look, Burn have just been dominant. They've run riot. They've not had an answer. They're not winning a huge amount of the tackles. They've not got many key passes. Just not a great deal to write home about at all, is there?
Yeah, not even had that many passes to be honest, and the ones they've had have mostly gone astray, as you mentioned there. I mean, no one is murdering themselves in terms of fitness, and there's sixes across the board. So I don't think Kieran is online, so we'll probably just leave it as is for the second half,
Mm.
and hope for the best. I mean, they can't really play that much worse, to be completely honest. Um, Yeah, nothing else to say to it there. I'll kick off the second half. Kieran, if you do turn up, then please, as soon as I see you in the comments, I'll obviously stop it and you can make a change. And if not, we'll let it run and see what happens. A good start from Churchtown here in the second half. They continue to at least come forward and at least try, but there's just no way through for them at all. Although, having said that, there's Oliveira with one, pulling one goal back here. Could they get another one? Then it could definitely get interesting here coming up towards the end. It's, I mean, they are trying, they are creating. Zanetti coming forward, Bergkamp coming forward, but Northern Burn holding steady and probably coming up with a couple of chances themselves now. Cannavaro picking up a yellow card. And there's Sigalko coming forward. He's not found the back of the net this evening, as I was mentioning there in the beginning. Del Piero, and there is Del Piero with his hat trick, and that is probably curtains. I don't think we need to reduce the speed for a bit of extra action and suspense here towards the end. We'll see if Churchtown can pull one back, or if Northern Burn are going to seal the deal, or if it's just going to peter out 4-1. Yeah, so an even second half in terms of chances created. You've got to feel a little bit sorry for Churchtown there, haven't you, in terms of how that distribution of shots.
Yeah, but the damage was done in the first half. I mean, Churchtown only had a couple of chances first half. Bernard wrapped it up, and they've not had to overcommit second half. Obviously, Churchtown have put on a little bit of pressure to try and get back into it, but Bernard have held on, and fantastic result for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can recall. I mean, I don't have the best memory, and occasionally I will miss around, but it's a while since Ian's put in one of Ian's sides has put in a display like that, and I think he'll be absolutely delighted with the performance of the team. Curious to see who got the. Oh well, it wasn't Henri who got the last assist for Del Piero. The amount of shots that he's taken there, 7 shots and 6 on target from Del Piero. He's not the. We were talking about that he was set up to feed Sigalko, and then he's got one 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 AMC passing to the other AMC, and the other AMC taking all the shots. I'm not sure where Sigalko's gonna get anything from, but he's got an assist, so it looks as if Del Piero's maybe pounced on a rebound or something like that. But a brilliant performance from the Northern Burn side there, isn't it?
Yeah, and Maxim's unselfishly set up Del Piero for his hat trick rather than have a shot himself, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I've seen Kieran actually is in the comments now. He says, "Congrats, Ian. I need to bring in a fanager for a few weeks." Yeah, that could be an interesting option. I'm sure there'd be plenty of willing and able applicants if you were to bring in a fanager, which obviously we are fully supportive of here in the league. And I suspect Robin won't start next week.
No, unfortunately for Robin, Del Piero just put a big fuck you to yourself, as has Henri at AMC, and they've just took Churchtown apart, and Ian will be sat smug as you like.
Yeah, could potentially play him instead of Gerrard in central midfield. I think he's the only one sort of underperforming, or even on the left, even down the left wing. What do you reckon? Jogatos on that left wing. He could play Robin out there. I'm sure that would work.
Yeah, I think if you look at what Hodgie's done with Hersey, very
Hmm.
similar players. I think you definitely with his flair, his creativity, his passing, you definitely get assists from Robin at left wing back. I reckon,
Yeah.
especially with a big arrow like that.
Hmm. Although Ian probably not in the mood to take advice from a very very failed former manager and a manager currently in a slightly worse position than himself. Churchtown Ashley Cole gets a 10 because why not? uh,
Jesus Christ, 6 key passes. What the fuck are his teammates doing?
Well, they're not scoring. To be fair, decent goalkeeping performance from Mr. Toldo down in the Northern Burn goal, because they have had shots on target and it's actually the right players. I mean, I know it's no consolation, but it's his front players that are having shots on. It's who you want. You want Oliveira, you want Edilson, and you want Elba. You want them to have shots on target. They've had 10 between them, whatever, 6 of them, 7 of them are on target. That's actually what you want. It's just that none of them have gone in. That's a bit of a problem. But yeah, tough one for Churchtown. It's back to the drawing board for Kieran and potential fanagers if he goes with that option. But yeah, congratulations to Northern Burn for an impressive away win there. Next up this evening, we go to Dudley Hill against Fulchester. I have seen no sign of. Oh, I have seen a sign of Chris Mack. Everyone experimenting is throwing the league. What? Have you said anything else at all this evening? I suspect he's just woken up with a half-empty bottle of warm Peroni, drained it, and went. Everyone experimenting is throwing the league. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, let's have a look and see how Dudley Hill against Fulchester is going to play out. We have got Steve Wright is definitely in the comments. I've seen Steve; he's always around. I'll try my best not to not to upset the Wright family this evening, which I'm often being accused of. Um, Dudley Hill, much improved on last year. Crespo, how big of a difference is that? Is that the only difference, or is that the key difference, or what do you put that down to? Crespo's got to be in there in terms of
Yeah,
talking points.
yeah, Crispo's a massive influence. I think you're going to get a striker. If you've got a striker scoring close to a goal again, then you're going to probably win more than you lose. I think the biggest thing for me is the indifference from last season is that Steve's not experimenting as much. He's settled on what he wants to do, and he's picking his team. And more often than not, they've just gone out and done it. So credit to Steve for finding the formula and for putting a squad together that's much improved.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with a player like Steve Finnan. Um, I won't say criminally underrated because I think everyone knows that he's a good player, but I mean very good down either flank, I guess, and Dudley have definitely found good use of him as well
Yeah,
after he was
yeah,
let go by Fulchester.
yeah, definitely a place for him in the league, and probably in a lot of starting 11s in terms of a right wing back. He's probably in that bracket below the sort of elite Cafus and Zambrotas and what have you.
Hmm. And Alex finding his feet to some extent, but I mean, this is kind of the reverse of the Bauman, some of these players that we spoke about earlier. So he's not had the best average, but he's contributed with six, let's say, points if we're talking ice hockey here. But 2 goals and 4 assists in 6 games. So he's definitely contributing, but maybe not with the best average. He didn't do it last season, so I don't know what that's down to. But I doubt Steve's gonna be complaining too much. Do you think?
No, I don't think Steve Wright can give a shit what his average rating is if he's contributing towards goals each game.
Yeah, and Kofre and Ayala pretty solid at the back, and Matteo Sereni, who is I will compare him to Andre in terms of goalkeepers, someone that no one cared about, no one rated, no one had. I mean, not that no one had ever heard about him, but no one would pick him for the starting 11 in the Super League if they had a chance. But he's delivering the goods, same as Andre was to some extent for you anyway.
Yeah, Steve Wright's openly said um, that he rates him and he's going to play him and he's going to prove people wrong, and that's what he's doing. Similar to Andre, who've had now for 3 seasons. I think he's had maybe 2 5s in, maybe 3 5s in 3 seasons.
Mm.
Um, and he will contribute towards winning games just like Sereni will.
Yeah, stability goes a long way when it comes to goalkeepers. I think to have a goalkeeper that puts in a bunch of eights and concedes one every game is probably a lot better than having goalkeepers that'll concede 0, 3, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 3, and this kind of inconsistency. Um, Buffon, talking about, well, he hasn't conceded that many goals. He just had a bit of a low average because he had a very poor game early on, but he is developing very nicely in terms of his stats for Fulchester here. Sereni bound to get a 5 now, says Alf, now that I've talked him up. Not, I think what was his changes again? He had Verong came back in for Scholes, and I think that was it. Verong in for Scholes. Yeah, that's the only change from last week, and he obviously won 1-0 away from home, so not too bad. Um, we spoke a little bit about Fulchester already. He's now back in the two DMCs. Is that what's gonna make the change for them instead of playing Butt by himself in that DMC role? Is that going to be
Yeah,
important?
I think that block of four is something that that Mac historically has built um, his team around and made him so hard to beat. But Biscan are both players that he's big fans of. Balde, we've already talked about, has come in and done fantastically well and has formed a good partnership with Valharan. Polar opposite to Alf in Buffon, in that Chris Mack will never have to go and look for a goalkeeper.
Mm.
Giggs is always going to contribute with goals and assists. Veron is probably, over the last 3 seasons that I've been involved in the league, he's probably been consistently the best player in the league. I think Maka knows that his weakness is still a striker. I think he's had a few managers interested in Saviola, but at the minute nothing doing, which is interesting considering he's not playing.
Yeah, he's a bit of not an unknown quantity, but I think with people have seen him struggle in the Super League in the past, and that kind of puts them off, doesn't it? Could you have argued for Saviola starting in the AMC role and Berong in central midfield tonight?
You could argue that, but I know that Mac is a big fan of Donati. Veron's done well at AMC so far this season.
Mm.
I would probably have Saviola in over Owen.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it helps them. Oh God, that full chest away kit. All right. Well, anyway, I can't remember seeing this. Surely I must have seen this before. For some reason, that's just slipped my memory. Predictions, gentlemen, in the chat and in the studio. What do you think, Scott?
I think it's going to be tight. I think Crespo will score. I think Veron will score and one apiece.
Oh, well, it's interesting to see what someone else thinks. Should be black and grey. Well, it isn't. Chat Megahorse says 2-2. Ian Edwards going for an away win. Alf Bridge, away win. Maka says home win. You said you liked it. Did I? I don't know. Dudley win just for the awful away kit. 2-1 away win, says Fifey. 1-1. Low scoring here, low scoring. Dimple says an away win as well. We'll kick it off and we'll see what happens as Dudley take on Fulchester. Both managers obviously in the chat ready to make substitutions. Third kit maybe it could be. Right, let's kick it off and see what happens. A good start for Fulchester. A surprisingly easy. Oh, Michael Owen. Is this the season where Shearer and Owen and all these people finally start doing things?
I
It's
think
the
it's just a night where any player that gets criticised by the pundits comes up trumps.
Yeah, and we talked up Crespo then. He had a goal disallowed. Of course, when you mention someone, then something is going to happen, whether it's good or bad. Um, Starting to come after it a little bit more Dudley Hill here towards the end of the first half, but Fulchester kind of holding firm after that disallowed goal. And there is Verong. You did say how important he was going to be for Fulchester and how good he'd been in the last 3 seasons that you had seen there. And it's Fulchester who go into the halftime break with a 2-0 lead and a very, very, very solid display from them. It's been very hard for Dudley Hill to break down. The one occasion when they do get through, then goal ruled out for offside. Um,
And
Again, just as we saw with Northern Burn there.
that's Fulchester at the very, very best, doing what they do.
Yep, definitely very, very strong. 53% possession, just as we saw Northern Burn doing there. Michael Owen with a powerful header. I don't think we need to speak about that for much longer. And then Sereni parried and the ball fell to Verong. Let's have a quick look and see how Fulchester have been performing the first half. Roos Valgaren. He was brilliant last season. He's been good this season. Now he's got Balde next to him. They are going to be tough as anything to break down. And then they've got Nicky Butt and Igor Biscan in there and Buffon behind them. I mean, I know we called Lokomotiv Boston shithouses for putting so many players at the back, but Mac has just got the good players in the right position, hasn't he?
Yeah, Maka just knows what players are going to do what role, and they just come in and they just do it game after game. Mac has always built a solid foundation. He's made himself difficult to break down. And you know what? If he gets fucking Michael Owen scoring, then Jesus Christ, we're all in trouble.
Well, with and he gets an 8 with lost a tackle, no headers. Did he not score a header?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's a lot of shit.
Well done. Anyway, he wants to see Donati off and Dalmat coming on, so that's fine. We'll have a look at the Dudley Hill first half performance here. Well, in stark contrast, he's got Ayala at the back who's picked up a yellow. He's got Kufre at a 5, trying to mark Michael Owen, I guess. Crespo with a disallowed goal. Um, what has he
So
got to
then you
do,
have an
Steve?
skipper after we've talked him up as well.
Yeah. What's he got to do to get goals in the second half, Steve? We'll see what he wants. Leg it, he says. I'm not sure what that entirely entails, but substitutions, I guess he's going to have to do something, isn't he?
I think they have to come out and start strongly like Astor did. I think
Yeah,
if they score in the first 10, 15 minutes, then they might have a chance. But I think if the Fulchester make it to 60 minutes, they'll just shut them out.
yeah. Well, he said here, Steve, that he wants Rustico on for Kufre and Alex for Ericsson, and we're keeping. Owen wasn't bad in the air, no, but he's 4'3", Hodgie. I wasn't saying he was bad in the air,
Yeah, but
but
Kufri is having a five. It was probably a free header.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe he's just been left unmarked there. But I get your point. He wasn't bad in the air. I mean, most players at that level are actually decent headers off the ball. It wasn't meant in that way. It was more a reference to his sort of stature. Um, anyway, I think that's going to be a red card for Ayala. That's my prediction. We'll see if Dudley can come back into it. As you mentioned, there probably important for them to get an early goal back. We'll see how it goes. Um, so it's kind of we're 5 minutes in. Would be a good time for Crespo to do something. Oh, 57 already. That went quick. Oh, Igor Biscan picks up an injury. I presume a straight swap for Proton. I'll let
Yeah,
Mac
I
I'll
don't
let
see I don't see anything else happening there. I don't think he's got any other defensive options.
no, I'll let Mac
Just
confirm,
like
but
for like.
yeah, presumably. I'll give it another like a few seconds just to see if Maca. That's yeah, that's fine. See if that does anything for Dudley Hill's chances. They've got another, what, 15 minutes or something like that. They are coming forward, they are creating, but Fulchester look as if they're going to be holding firm here. We'll take the last 5 minutes on a slightly slower speed just to see if anything interesting happens. Sereni lets the ball run free, but no one there to follow up. We've got Gustavo Lopez trying his best and Crespo. Not entirely sure what Mike Lone had to do with that, but anyway, Fulchester coming forward here. Still 3 minutes to play of normal time. Giggs with the corner there, in for Rerong. 3 minutes of overtime, I think that was, or added time. I can't remember what I'm allowed to call it. Could have been a great goal, but wasn't to be. Fulchester continuing to come forward. I think that's going to be the end. Let's see. Driven low by Comandini, but no. Fulchester with a quick corner. We don't have time to take it, unfortunately. Dudley Hill, they came into it a little bit, but this was all about Fulchester, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's just Fulchester back to their best. Doing what they've done over the last couple of years. Steele will be really disappointed that he's had a strong start, and he would have felt that being at home, he would have probably wanted to create more chances and take the game to them. But they've just been shut out in effect.
Yeah, strong defensive display for Fulchester. Gave up a little bit of possession in the second half, but I mean, not really much to cover. Michael Owen picks up a Man of the Match award, perhaps surprisingly. Good result for good play by Proton and Dalmat coming on there, and everyone else solid, as we mentioned. There's actually not much changed in terms of the first half. Beckham on a 7, maybe the only slight disappointment, but I think that's probably par for the course for David Beckham in the Super League.
Yeah, I think if David Beckham's getting a 7, he's probably doing about as well as you can expect from him. I mean, I know that Jens thought he was going to get him to assist a lot of goals in his sort of central position last year, and I think Mac has always said that he prefers to play him wide.
Mm.
Everybody has different opinions and different preferences, but for me, I've just never seen him do it.
Yeah, I think with his kind of dribbling and his pace not being the highest, I think he's going to struggle as a winger in the Super League. I think I've only ever had him once in a Manchester United save, and he did play quite well, and he did get a lot of assists and goals. But he took all the set pieces, and he didn't play up against the best fullbacks in the world. So that maybe that's got something to do with it as well. In terms of Dudley Hill in there. I mean, Rustico and Eriksson didn't cover themselves in glory when they came on. Crespo, unlucky to have the goal disallowed. That could have changed things around a little bit, but
Mm.
ah,
And I think, to be honest, an 8 flatters Sereni. He was on a 6 at half time.
mm,
Okay, so he's not conceded, but you know, he didn't have a great first half. So you can look at ratings and think that actually maybe it's not a true reflection. Thomas C has been solid most of the season. Ayala's done well to not get sent off, and
yeah.
but yeah, it still be disappointed with the contribution from his forward players and lack of creativity. And one key pass in 90 minutes is not good enough.
Yeah, it's not the best from Dudley, but they're obviously up against a Fulchester side that have just recently refound some of that form. I think Tato Mourinho said 4 clean sheets in a row for Fulchester. Apparently, Chris Mack says he's taking it seriously now. So we'll see how that goes. How long he continues to take it seriously for. Next up this evening, we've got Haggis against Lettersfoot, so a big game coming up for the boys from north of the border, taking on Hodges boys. Good result for Haggis Hunters last time out. Lettersfoot were obviously winners as well. So two teams that are in form going into this one. Let's see if we can find Mr. Tinder date number 86 and his starting lineup here. So a bit of a change. Let's see what he. Yeah, it's mostly like a player swappy kind of thing. He's got Cordoba in at the back. He's got Rosicky and Larson. I think they should be the other way around. I'm just double checking his instructions here. Yeah, he's got Larson on the left. That's me. There we go. Shevchenko, Larson, yeah, Riquelme. I mean, it's a strong squad. It's a strong squad, and difficult to call out like proper weaknesses. What do you think, Scott? Anything you would consider a weakness here? I mean, Casillas is maybe not the best goalkeeper, but he did win a couple of uh, of trophies with Bolton Phoenix when he was there.
Yeah, I mean, if your goalkeeper's a two-time winner and you're questioning that, then you really do need to have a look at how strong the squad is. Look, we've spoke about it at length numerous times. I think it gets mentioned most weeks.
Mm.
I think Ian will be critical of himself. Um, on paper, he's got the right players in the right positions. He should be ticking all the boxes and he should be winning games. It's time to stop the talking and just get on with it now.
Yeah, just a question of getting those goals out of Shevchenko, isn't it? Really, I mean, he had a very good first season with Valen, and then kind of disappeared a little bit in the second season. I think he only had like 10, 12 or something like that. But I just don't understand it. He's got to be scoring more goals. But we'll see what happens in the rest of the season with him and his contributions. Salas, who's been scoring for fun for the international side, is has not had many chances here, but that's I'm surprised that he's not getting a run. But I guess he's not considered a Super League striker, really.
No, he's
Um,
done shit.
we've got Lettersford. You spoke about him already, Patsasoglu, and that central midfielder role. I can't don't think I think he only changed Montella maybe up top. I think that was Hodges' only change for this one. Um, anything that stands out to you? Who's Lettersford's key player? Is it Patsasoglu? Is it Vogel? Is it the defenders? Where's the what is it that makes Hodges' team tick? Do you think?
Do you know what? I just think they've been extremely consistent throughout. I think Patsat Soglu, Sorochinsky, and Vogel, that little triangle in there, work well together and are tough to break down. Percy's been good in numerous positions. I think tonight he's in his best position. Montella, I think for me, is his best striker and has to play. I know he had great success with him and Torres last year, but I think
Mm,
in this formation, this setup, Montella up front, you would expect goals from him. Although he's not started well. Maldini and Nesta extremely solid. Maldini we let go purely because we saw last time out him fall off a cliff halfway through season 2 at Churchtown.
mm.
But he's currently doing well.
Doing very solid numbers.
Whether Whether that remains consistent throughout the season, Hodgie's probably got a contingency in his back pocket in case that does happen.
He's got
Um,
Irrigado. What more do you
yeah.
want?
Um, so yeah, look, they've been extremely consistent. Were unlucky probably not to be champions last year,
Mm.
and have sort of carried on where they left off.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably see Sorochinski playing down there if I think he's played pretty much every position in that Lettersford lineup, and he's still got an 8 average, and he did last season as well, and still managed 729. I think he just throws him in wherever he wants, really. Certainly around this whole back area there, so very good. Lee Chun So, sort of not really had many appearances yet. One of the big surprise packages that came in at your side, obviously, but yet to do it really for Lettersford. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. This one, Lettersford definitely after that 2-0 win away to Asta, after a couple of disappointing games, they're definitely starting to refine their form. How do you see this one going in terms of the result?
I think Ledesford will nick this. I don't see Haggis creating a massive amount. I think that back sort of 6, 7, including Pat Satsov, Ledesford are strong. I
Mm.
think Shevchenko's forms in the bin, um, and Ledesford are playing well. I think Ledesford maybe 2-0, 2-1, 2-0.
2-1, 2-0 Lettersford. We'll see what the people in the comments have to say about it. Dimble says 2-0 away win as well. Big game this. Who buckles under pressure, says Fifey. That'll be interesting. Mega Horse goes with a 2-0 home win. Alf Bridge with a 2-1 away win. Ian with a 1-1 draw. There's been a lot of 2-0s, 1-1. It seems as if this is like a return to realism. Everyone predicting realistic results, using realistic tactics, using playing sensible. We've been after a bit of a hectic start to the season. We've all turned very sensible all of a sudden, which is fair enough. It still makes for good viewing. We've definitely had some very good and interesting games so far this evening. We'll kick this one off and see who comes out on top in Haggis Hunters against Leddersford. Volodinkov first man involved, and it's that man Montella, as predicted by, oh my goodness, oh, Shevchenko has a goal ruled out for offside. As predicted by Scott, Montella is his best striker and should start, but Shevchenko fired back straight away from Haggis Hunters, but had that goal ruled out for offside. Sorochinski involved again. Vieira coming forward for the Haggis Hunters, trying to create something. Many attempts and passes and shots from either side with 35 minutes on the clock. It's still Lettersford holding on to that 1-0 win, and they are coming forward now again here, coming up to the end of the half. Fogel tries, Bolodenkov tries, Montella's in there again trying to finish that chance off, but to no avail. Oh, I mean, it didn't look as if it was going to be a particularly busy first half in terms of what we see on the screen here, but pretty much a first half full of action and at both sides really. I mean, in terms of flashing text, creating a lot, but in terms of chances, perhaps less so.
Yeah, it sort of panned out how I said it would. Ledesford have taken a chance, and Haggis have not really created a great deal.
Yeah, I mean that's a very fair assessment. Shevchenko had his goal ruled out for offside. It was Volodenkov with a cross to Montella for the header. You did mention there that he is his best striker, Scott, and obviously he's shown that you were right on this occasion. We didn't get proven wrong for a change. Hodge's got to be pretty satisfied with that first half, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll be pleased. I think he would have liked a second goal, but he's been in control. He's restricted them to not a great deal, and I think very similar to the last game, if Wethersford keep it tight for the first 15, 20 minutes, then they'll probably see it through. I think if
Mm.
Haggis are going to get back into it, they need to score early.
Yeah, we'll see if Hodgie wants to make any changes to his lineup here. Bit surprising to see Patsasoglu only on a 6. He says same as please, so we'll leave it at that. Alessandro Nesta with same number of headers and tackles in total as he has passes with 3, which is a quiet night for him. Um, down the other end, Haggis Hunters not created a lot. Shevchenko had the goal disallowed. manager can't be too pleased with that. I've not seen Ian in the comments, but we'll give it a minute or so for him to make an appearance and make a couple of changes if he wants to. Uh, Not sure if Stephen Reed and Luis, maybe Luis Saha instead of Rosicky or someone like that. Yeah, he mentions that. Even Ian, he wants Saha on for Rosicky. Um, Makes sense to you, Scott? That particular substitution?
Yeah, I think he's going to be keen to do something. There's a lot of sixes in there. They've not created anything. And you look at his options, and he doesn't really have a great deal else.
Yeah, it's difficult to know when if Shevchenko works better as a lone striker or with two. I think I seem to remember Valin used Shevchenko and Saviola and Shevchenko and Saha. I'm pretty sure he used two strikers up top, but and Totti behind them. But I could be wrong. But
Yeah, that
Shevchenko
was that was sort of Andreas's go-to. It was Shevchenko and Saviola
with
as a
Totti
pair.
behind them, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then every now and again when they were playing a game that they probably should have won, he threw Sahara in every now and again.
True. Well, we'll kick off the second half, and we'll see if Saha can do it for the Haggis Hunters, or if Lettersford will continue to impress. What have we had? We've had a couple of away wins so far this evening. Can that continue? Um, Montella coming forward, doing the business this evening for Lettersford. Let's see if he can add to his one goal scored already. It has been more yellow than black in the second half so far. Yellow card for someone there. Saha coming forward. There's Shevchenko again, and this time it stands. Shevchenko has equalised for the Haggis Hunters. We're coming up to 15 minutes left. We've got 5 minutes left to play. If only Saha could have finished it, we'd go down to a little bit of a slower speed so we can follow up here as Haggis Hunters continues to pile on the pressure, trying to get that all-important winner, and then absolutely nothing happens. Here is Mike Duff, though, coming forward. Let's see if anything happens. Candela loses his man, but Butt with the save. Last chance of the game. Saha comes forward. Sorocinski can't stop him. Here's Larsson picking up the ball. Superb play by Haggis until the finish. Oh, the season in one sentence there. Superb play by Haggis until the finish. They definitely came after it in the second half, much better. But they got the equaliser, but it just wasn't enough for them to actually pick up all 3 points. Although they did look a little bit stronger there at the end. Deserved result overall, Scott?
Yeah, I think it's tale of two halves. I don't think that Hodges had a shot in that second half at all. I think
Mm.
Nuggets have come out much improved. I mean, they've not created a great deal themselves, but fortunately for them, Shevchenko has put one away. Maybe a little might feel a little bit lucky that they've had a goal disallowed, but I think on the balance of play, it's a fair result.
Yeah, and if we look at the performance of the individual players, Maldini there, as we say, at some cliff he's going to have to find to fall off. If his average is going to tank, that's a 9 for him, for the captain. Done very well. Nesta had almost nothing to do. Oh, Nesta was left to do the tackling. I see. 9, 8, and 3. Very, very solid defensive display from him. Sorocinski with uncharacteristically poor performance from his side. And Patsasoglu not doing particularly well as well. Probably not the
Yeah.
not vintage letters for this.
No, I think one tackle out of 11 successful from Sorocinski must be some sort of record.
That is exceptionally poor from Sorocinski there, and he picks up a yellow to boot. That's not ideal. Let's have a look at the Haggis Hunters and see how they did. Casillas with a Yap Stam man of the match with well, he's my goodness, the tackles that they've put, the shift they've put in at the back. Stam and Cordoba Mendieta as well, flying around in the air. Patrick Vieira, that's an exceptional number of tackles that they've put in the Haggis Hunters, and that's obviously, I mean, credit to them. It's kept Lettersford quiet.
Yeah, looking at that, they've been exceptionally solid. Sort of pretty much after Liddisford scored pretty early.
Mm,
Um, they've just not created a great deal when they've had the ball. I mean, look, you've got the era Candela and these guys on nines and Stam obviously and Mendieta. But if you look at Raquelme and Rosicki and Larsson on a 7, that's
mm.
where Ian will be mildly disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, Riquelme has got to do better than a 6, to be completely honest. If he's going to get anything out of this season overall, he'll be pleased to see Shevchenko getting a 9 and scoring a goal. He did have a goal disallowed as well, so actually a solid enough display from the Ukrainian there. Casillas getting a 6. I mean, he's still only conceded one goal, so probably not the end of the world. Yep, Stam solid there at the back as well. So the search for good form continues for the Haggis Hunters, even though they had a win last time out. They're back with a draw this time. And Lettersford, they pick up a point away from home. They picked up 3 points last time out. They won't be overly disappointed with that, especially given the way the second half went, I think. So um, and with that, we progress onwards and upwards. We have Lokomotiv Boston coming up against the Gazelles next, the high-flying Gazelles and the shithouses. So we'll see if they can cancel each other out. We'll have a look at Greaves first in that Boston side. Um, Players who've fallen out of favor or weren't highly rated. You mentioned there Del Vecchio, there's Deisler, who is a Super League. Well, they're all Super League winners, aren't they? Because they won it last year. But but from history anyway, with Bolton Phoenix, Deisler was in there in the squad. At least Sambrota as well. Hamann and Ramalov. What happened
No,
to?
that was the first thing I just seen. For me, why the fuck is Oliver Court not playing? And secondly, I'm pretty sure Manu Petit was pretty good last season. I would be playing those two. But look, who am I to sit here and question the reigning and defending champion?
That is true. Well, it's your job this evening to question the reigning and defending champion. But yeah, he's at least he's picking sort of fairly attacking players for his midfield three. I mean, Ricardinho, Ayman, and Deisler, to be fair, are all pretty attacking players. So
Yeah, I
it's not
mean,
11. It's not 10 defenders and a sole striker, is it?
no, I mean, look, the back two and the goalkeeper are solid. Zambrotta's very good. I've just given you my opinion on the defensive midfielders, but to me, that looks like you know 10 defensive players and one. It's just shit house all over. You've got Kesman on the bench and Del Vecchio playing. I'm pretty sure that you could fit them both in quite comfortably. But he played this system last time out and won.
Mm.
Probably fortunately late on against 10 men. Um,
True,
yeah,
it was that Churchtown game, wasn't it, where they had the man. I mean, I think they equalized, didn't they? And then Churchtown had a man sent off, and then they got the winner at the end. But I mean, they do have a title to defend. They have to consider that as well. And I think sort of George Graham's Arsenal sides of old, obviously serving as an inspiration as well as the Italian Catenaccio formations here. Ian Edwards says I've got Lokomotiv Moscow, Lokomotiv Boston on one screen and Mark Selby on the other, and apparently that's putting him to sleep. I'm
fucking
not
hell,
sure.
we're sleeping minutes.
I'm not sure what Mark Selby. He's a snooker player, isn't he? That's
Yeah,
all I know.
he's
Presumably famed for slow play or something.
yeah, he's not the most extravagant.
Fair enough, fair enough. Let's have a look at the special Gazelles. I think they are completely unchanged. Figo and Ferdinand, they're just fed up. They don't like the manager. I'm not entirely sure why. Figo wants to be sold, obviously, as he does at every single club he ever goes to. It's funny because I don't remember Figo being that much of like an asshole in real life as a player. I know he went to Inter sort of late on. He went from Barcelona, didn't he, to Real Madrid, and then did he go to Inter at the end? I can't remember, but I know he went to different clubs, but I didn't remember him as being such a moody bastard. But who knows? Um, Kluivert back in the middle for Gazelles. That is now. I mean, I've said in the past when Gazelles have come up, I was like, I'm not entirely sure, or are they strong enough without Kluivert? But with Raúl, Kluivert, Figo, those front three, Jeremy Seedorf and Keane behind them, Cafu and Dede, that is a very, very, very tasty looking side, isn't it?
It is on paper. It's very very good. Um, they've been playing well. I think on the day they're one of those sides that are capable of just blasting anybody. You could you complete polar opposite to their opponents tonight, who you would say that if Boston turn up and play the best, they'll win 1-0, and if Gazelles turn up, they'll put seven past you.
Mm, mm. They made him unloyal for the Barca Real move. Maybe, yeah, that's Hodgie pointing that out. That maybe it was around the time of a switch for Figo in his life there. He had literally just gone from Barcelona to Real Madrid, so maybe that was why they made him a bit of a prickly character. Um, so what is it going to be? Is it the what is it again? The uh, unmovable object and the unstoppable force or whatever that's up against each other tonight here. So what's going to give the the shithouser wall of Boston? Are they going to be able to keep the machine of the Gazelles away?
Do you know what I think? That Gazelles are probably going to struggle to supply their front three with that wall of 10.
Mm.
Um, I think it'll be tight. I think it. I think it'll be 1-1.
Couple of nil-nils coming in the predictions already. Steve Wright 0-0, Jens with a 0-0, Dimble with a 1-0 home win. Could
I
this
think
be
Raul will score, and then uh, maybe Imar.
maybe Chat Megahorse says a 1-1 draws on the cards, much as the same as yourself. Well, we'll kick it off and we'll see what actually does happen. Alf says 1-1 as well. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a lot of goals in this one, according to the pundits and the managers in the chat. But let's have a look. Kick this one off and Lokomotiv Boston in their eye-catching pink and white kit. We are 17 minutes in, and there has been a couple of chances for both sides, but nothing too dramatic so far. Roy Keane picks up a yellow card, unsurprisingly. Kluivert comes forward, Jeremis comes forward, Figo comes forward. They are trying Gazelles to kind of assert their dominance in terms of the attack and play that they're able to deliver, but they haven't been successful so far. Lokomotiv Boston holding firm 5 minutes before half time, and there it goes, 0-0 in front of 49,980 people who are, by this point, probably fast asleep. um, yeah, as predicted, it's a very very solid defense against a good attack that's just not getting through much as you predicted. Scott, any surprises for you so far?
No, absolutely none. Greaves is a massive shit house.
well,
Boring, boring Boston.
well, they are living. They'll probably embrace it, much as I'm sure Arsenal did in the 90s. Um, yeah, as we said there, they're just struggling. You predicted it. They are struggling to get the ball up to the front three, and when
I
they
hope
do,
Gazelles win 1-0 in the last minute.
well, it could well happen. I haven't seen Craig about, so we'll give the usual minute or so. I mean, at least the defense is holding firm. Why didn't 20 turn up? Yeah, that's a good question, Alpha. It's 20 people that are. If you owned the stadium and you had those numbers, you just put 20 people in there and said it was a full house, wouldn't you? Really? Um,
They probably saw Greaves' lineup and didn't bother.
Well, perhaps Patrick Kluivert with only 3 passes. I mean, you got to give him credit for neutralizing the opponents, but that is unfortunately for Boston pretty much all they've achieved in the first half so far. We'll see if Greaves wants to make any changes. Lausen is not impressed at the back, but he's not really had much to do, to be completely honest. 20 people in the chip shop. Well, maybe, maybe they went to the pub. Who hasn't done? Who's hands up? Who's done that? Who's on their way to a game, went to the pub a little bit too early, and then decided that you couldn't be asked and just stayed in the pub and watched the game. I don't know, not people who pay a lot for football tickets, I guess, but I certainly have in my day.
A good friend of mine is a Huddersfield Town season ticket holder. And the season they got promoted to the Premier League, they went to Liverpool for an away fixture and they were drinking all day. And my friend's not a big drinker and he was absolutely steaming. It was pissing down with rain. He got into the stadium, he was piss wet through. They were 2-0 down after 6 minutes and he walked out and got the train on by himself.
Oh well, that's one way of doing it. The drunkest not the drunkest I've ever been. I've been more drunk at football games before, but one particular cold and stormy night, it was at Brøndby Stadium, and we'd got to the stadium and we'd been standing outside for 20 minutes getting rained on and everything, and I was already very very drunk. And then I went right up to the back of the stands and just went and sat down. And after 5 minutes, we were 1-0 down, and I just laid down, put my jacket under my head, and just slept through the whole thing. People woke me up and put me on the bus when we were back home. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Keep as is, place. The stats in this game have more shots than the last game, so why so negative? I mean, it's all about the narrative, Greavesy. If you've not learned anything from watching football over the last 20 years, nothing that pundits say needs to have anything to do with what happens on the pitch. We'll kick up the second half. No changes for either manager. We'll see if we get some goals here after the break. Um, I mean, to be fair, both teams are trying to do something. It's just that the way that they're set up is just making it very, very difficult. With 20 minutes to go, we're still deadlocked at 0-0. 18 now. Klumpert doing something. Kluivert trying a few things here and there. Bartes, we can put it down to fast for the last couple of minutes, see if anything happens. If we do get a bit of excitement here, 3 minutes added on. There's Hammond and Ramalov coming forward. Ferdinand collects it. Del Vecchio coming in there with a header from a Deisler cross, I think it was. Aymar coming forward again. Sambrota. They are coming forward a little bit, Boston here. They are trying to shithouse it right at the end. Marine, you place it forward. There's Roy Keane holding back Figo. It all seems a little bit of a battle in midfield, doesn't it? Yep, that's it. 0-0. I mean, Boston were the ones who had the most chances, to be fair to them. Gazelle's very much struggled to break them down.
But he's only
Um,
got one attacking player.
yeah, I don't know who had. We'll have a look in a second to see who had all the shots. In terms of Gazelle's, I mean, I suppose they can be happy. Pellizzoli managed to get a 9 after the 5 he had last time out. Dede only getting a 6. Dede not even with a key pass, with nothing down the left hand side. That's a bit of a surprise for a player of his quality. Kluivert only getting a 6, completely neutralized. Couple of key passes, but nothing really. Not much to say about it, really. We'll have a look at Boston and see who had all the shots distributed across the park, really.
I was
Sorin,
expecting Zambrota to have had a good game with Dede being so shit, but
yeah,
well, credit to Greaves in terms of he's achieving what he's wanting to achieve and being hard to break down. I just find it boring as fuck.
yeah. I mean, it probably wasn't the most entertaining. It always sells bad when it's a 0-0, doesn't it? Really, it doesn't. It's a hard sell, but uh, Ian Edwards says on the plus side, Mark Selby has upped his game. So I don't know. I don't know what that entails, how you up your game in snooker, but I'll let the experts discuss that. Del Vecchio. So I mean, overall, it's what Greaves you wanted, isn't it? It's a solid defensive display, hoping to nick one at the end. Sadly for them, they didn't. Sorin gets the man of the match award, despite not really doing anything of note, and it's a 9. So
Yeah, I mean, look, to keep Gazelle to very little, then they've done a good job. I just think at home you probably want to be a little bit more adventurous.
could have been, but I mean, then again, Casellas is if I think maybe if he had been a little bit more adventurous, he probably possibly wouldn't have gotten a point. So he'll take that and a clean sheet. Right, Mike Savage. A late good evening, chaps. Good evening, Mike Savage. Soggy Soreen instead of biscuit. What are they talking about? Anyway, pass on that. Right, we do have another game. Before we get to this one, we have Spartak Sloths against the Devils. So let's have a look at Spartak Sloths. Um, David Collins injured. What do you make of that? Were you aware?
Yes, this has been discussed at length during negotiations. For anyone that doesn't know, I've agreed to swap David Collins for Christian Vieira. So hopefully that'll go through after this fixture before the next one. Probably won't be fit for next week. It's out for 10 days.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think Vieira's not been great for me over the last year or two. I've had lots and lots of interest, numerous different offers. Um, and David Collins was the second top scorer in the league last year. I wasn't going to get him Penza, and it'll probably cheese a few people off, so why not?
Well, it's definitely a surprise. I mean, I think that the slots has kind of been seen as not the dumping ground, but a place where a lot of the kind of meme players ended up a little bit. Tomadeira is there, obviously, having not really done a lot. Collins is there. Scally is there as well. So yeah, a decent sort of gang of Yeah, not super highly rated players in real life, but how are we going to get the Bostock board to agree to that? Well, we'll just keep trying, Ryan. I think if it's only a 10-day, there's no guarantee it'll fail the medical, but we'll see. We'll see if the Hope Collins needs surgery, says Campbell. Well, anyway, Sloth's a dumping ground. Say it again, Martin. Well, Sloth is a dumping ground for those kind of players, aren't they? Really, Scally,
Campbell's
Peralta.
bitter that he's not got Vieira. We all know that he's a big fan of the big shagger. Now, I've been very clear with Campbell from the very start of last season that he could have had first refusal on Vieira, but he knew the cost and he wouldn't pay it. So tough shit.
Yeah. Don't think it's. Oh, Chat Megahorse says, don't think it's the medical, it's the valuation. Well, they're both valued at the same price, so I don't think that's a problem. It's a straight swap, 5 million each. Don't see the big deal. Either way, this is Craig's formation, isn't it? That the Sloths are using at the moment.
It is. Yep. Um, he's got three big strikers. He's got a guy who assists for fun on one side and a very solid right wing back on the other side. Guerrero, centre midfield pushing forward, has been good for Sloths in a couple of different positions. Um, but Woodgate, Henshaw, and Van der Sar is a little bit of a worry.
Mm. Yeah, probably not the strongest. I'm not sure what happened with the substitutes bench here. Why Alvaro Recoba is named as sub number 5. It wasn't really clear from Rob's instructions, but I guess that we can just use the subs from last time out. Last match, what did we have? Pizarro was on the bench, so I'm not sure if there was instructions there, Rob. In terms of who you wanted, Edwin van der Sar in goal. Have I done this right? I was going to double check this. It looks suspicious. No, it's definitely right. But I'm not sure who the substitutes are meant to be because that wasn't entirely clear. So
I
I
would suggest that he would want Recoba on the bench for Galasek or Pure.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm not sure what Galasek is doing there. Maybe it was me who misclicked it and it should have been Recoba. Recoba for Galasek. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, that should be the Van der Sar should be in there in my opinion. Yeah, he should. I've checked. And I mean he's got decent-ish stats, so we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to the Devils. And this is what they line up with. I think the only change is I think they changed the formations. Well, no, they didn't actually. They changed
Guigu.
Guigu. They put this guy in, I believe, after a short discussion with Fifey. Fifey, correct me if it's wrong, obviously, but I believe this is the formation with Kuehl and Dyer on the wings, Van Bronckhorst, Ferguson, Guigu there, Montero and Juliano at the back, Frey, Ronaldinho, Tristan, and Impensa. He did have Christian Kivu did a superb job, 8 average. While Montero and Juliano were away, but an 8 average and a 750 average maybe feels a little bit hard done by, but I mean it's a strong looking squad. Diego Tristan in there as well now, and Barry Ferguson. I mean,
Yeah, it's a very, very strong team. I think Pfeiffer could put those 11 players in two or three different formations and be extremely dominant.
mm,
Like I said earlier on, they've been the standout team this season. They've been good to watch. They've scored lots of goals. Um, you know, super solid defensive players. You've got guys in there who can create and assist in Dyer and Ferguson and Kuehl and Ronaldinho, and then you've got the front three that if they click and take the chances, which more often than not they do, they're going to be tough to stop for anybody.
yeah, I think Rob 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 thinks he's in for a bit of a lobbocking tonight. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, predictions in the chat, please. And Scott, do you think the Devils can continue their run here against Edwin van der Sar and the boys?
Yeah, I fancy Devils. I think they're going to really, Sloths are really going to struggle to get the ball into those three strikers. I admire Rob for throwing three attackers in there. and trying to mix it up and and try and score more goals. But I just think that back seven of Devils is going to be so tough to break down. And then when they turn the ball over, they're normally ruthless.
Yeah, and they've got the obviously the striking force of Impensa, who's been very very solid in terms of goal scoring this season. Predictions are coming in 3-1 to the Devils, says Alf. Dimple says 3-2 away win, a 2-2 from Mr. Edwards, 3-0 away win for Mega Horse. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky for Sloths. Um, 2 2-1 for the Devils. Fifey's cat end up as Curtis breakfast tomorrow, says Jens for some reason. Anyone seen Mark Chapman's hair channeling his inner boy band? Nope. I've not seen Mark Chapman's hair. Right, we'll kick this one off. I presume match of the day has started or something. I don't know. Anyway, we'll kick this one off and see what happens as the Sloths take on the Devils. Um, oh, oh. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. Mr. Fifey. I guess that's not really. I mean, I wouldn't do anything. I would just.
No, I don't think that he will do anything or should do anything.
I mean, there's
Um,
nothing he can do, really, to be fair.
no, I don't think he's going to want to take off an attacking player.
Yeah.
He'll be disappointed that Guigu's come back in and lasted all of 3 minutes. So,
That wasn't
yeah.
great. Well, we'll see. 4 stars. Does that mean leave as is, Fifey?
I think that's probably a swear word.
Yeah, probably. Guess I can't amend an arrow. No, you can't amend an arrow, unfortunately. Um, you can swap players about, but I don't think you don't have any DMCs, so it doesn't really matter. We'll see what he says. I can't remember what it is. No, we can swap positions, can't we? Swap people around, but as is then please. Right, well that makes it easy. We'll kick off again. Right, 88 minutes with 11 against 10, at least for Spartak Sloths here. This is their big moment, a big chance in the sun. Oops, that's not gone well at all, has it? Van
No,
Bronckhorst picks up an injury now. Things are definitely not going
I
in the
think
Devils'
you.
favour.
No, I think he'll probably move Dyer into the middle and put Mackay on the right hand side.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that's what he comes up with. We'll let Fivey have a minute or two to think about it. It's another 4 thing. Currently robbing a marrow and calling on the spirit of Barrymore to get Sloth the win. Christian Kivu, please.
Ooh,
Straight swap.
let's hope he doesn't get a centre back sent off or injured.
Well, we go like that. If it ain't Van Bronckhorst, don't fix it. Right, says Mega Horse, who's always there with a good one-liner. Well, half an hour in, and it's a makeshift 10-man Devils who's they're still holding firm against the Spartak Sloths here. But there is William Guerrero with the opener for Spartak Sloths. Keeper gone walkabout for the Devils apparently. Um,
We're riots in Kurdistan if they don't win this.
well, they're definitely well on their way. William Guerrero getting his second now, and it's uh, it's getting yeah, it's getting difficult for the Devils now. 2 goals down. They've had a man sent off. They've had the DMC that they couldn't really replace injured. Well, they could have perhaps moved Dyer in and put Mackay on the right wing back, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky for them. Not much in terms of possession really for the Devils either. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Sebastian Frey getting a 5. Ronaldinho was on a 5. Gigu on a 5 for the 3. Got no chance here. FFS says Fifey. Has he got a chance?
No.
That's all right. There's a lot of people talking about their erections in the chat now, which is not helpful in terms of my concentration. Oh, coupon buster from Alf Bridge here. Fifey finishes the half of the black hole like Ava. Right. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading the chat for a little bit. Lever says, "What's the point?" Says Fifey. I mean, don't be so defeatist. You're top of the league. I mean, it's probably your Your lead shrinking a little bit, but not much. I mean, Gazelle's Drew, letters for Drew. It's not a problem, is it? Mr. Erect Sloth, is there anything that you would like to change? Then please let us know. I mean, this is what you want, isn't it? When your opponents have a man sent off and get an important player injured, you just want to keep calm, score a couple of goals, and take it into half time, and that should be it for Sloth, shouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think Devils are going to be able to turn the tide and dominate the second half. By the way, how impressive has Guerrero been at Slots?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said that he was good, but no one ever buys him because he's too old and he's super expensive and he doesn't want to leave Bilbao or wherever it is that he is. So no one really buys him in the game, but he's actually pretty wild. Um, and he does actually want to make a substitution. He wants to see Rakoba in for Tomadera, which is fine. Um, yeah, so steady second half for Sloth. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they will score again and win 3-0.
Devils will fight back, says Alpha Bridge. Well, it's got to be Impensa or bust. Rakopa comes on for as a replacement there. I mean, Diego Tristan is still on the pitch as well. It could happen. I mean, they're obviously a decent side, but there's Johnny Woodgate scoring on his debut for Sloths. That's gotta be that's gotta be curtains for the Devils now when Woodgate start. Oh, there's Sally Hamages with his fourth. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of confidence in the Sloth side now. They've still got 25 minutes to play. Can they add another to the four they have already? They can indeed. That's Guerrero with his third of the night. Ferguson with a consolation for the Devils here. 5-1 now. Sloths. Oh, that's a yellow card for Ferguson. Could have perhaps have picked up a red there. A little bit unlucky to stay on the pitch, perhaps. But it finishes 5-1. Definitely not what the fans and managers had predicted pre-match. I mean, obviously they didn't also predict the sending off of Gigu and Van Bronckhorst injury, but a, a very solid performance from the Sloss there. It pays off to put that attacking gamble on. I think if he'd played more defensively and the Devils had that man sent off, I don't think that Sloss necessarily would have won this.
No, like I said, credit to Rob for throwing those three attackers in and trying to score more goals. They've dropped a little bit lucky in that they've played against 10 men for the majority of the game,
Hmm.
and Rob will be absolutely delighted that they've been clinical. They've scored five, and then he's got Vieri to add into that mix coming soon.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad performance from them. And if we look at Sebastian Frey's not done his manager any favors there, has he? Picking up
No,
a four.
and also Ronaldinho, who Fife has left out a few times and has been criticised for, and he's brought him back in and he's been shit as well.
It's unfortunate, but I guess there's a big gap being created there when you end up with effectively no one in midfield. Ronaldinho on a bad day, and then you've got a central defender in your DMC area there moving up to midfield. That's not probably going to help the chance creation. Kieran Dyer, as usual, being exceptionally solid out on that right hand side. But yeah, that wasn't great. And Pensa not delivering either. 2 out of 14 predicted a Sloths win, says Dimple. That's probably from the prediction thing. Um, I mean,
Yeah, I think Fifey just needs to not get too frustrated, not get over emotional, write that off as a bad day, and just go back to it next week.
yeah, bad day at the office. There's nothing really could have done terribly differently. As we mentioned, I would have perhaps, as you said there, put Mackay on at wing back and moved Dyer into the middle. But considering how well Dyer's been playing out on that right hand side, you can kind of get what he's trying to do here as well. But Frey gets a week's fine, please, when games are done. Yeah, that's gonna help. But I'll be happy to comply. Um, Albertini with 2 assists. I slacked off Albertini, I think, last Sunday, and he was good. And now he got 2 assists. Pizarro with 2 assists as well. I mean, I know it's on a little bit of a cheap background with being, opponents down to 10 men or whatever, but this is probably the Sloss performance of quite a while, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They've been presented with a chance and they've grabbed it with two hands. They've been clinical. They've took their chances. They've been dominant. Yeah, Rob will be absolutely erect.
As he's mentioned a couple of times, definitely. And one of my favorite players in real life back in the day, of his era anyway. In with that's his on what, 6 for the season now, in 7. That's not too bad either. Right. Let's have a quick look at the last game of the evening. We'll start with Hull's Vikings. I'll have a quick chat about them. They've got Anelka back in the starting lineup. It's a little bit of a Craig-ish formation with that kind of diagonal arrow on the midfield. Liverani, Sanyol, Hools have not been in the best of form lately. I think manager's patient with Ruud van Nistelrooy and his piss poor performances, to put it mildly. Probably wearing a little bit thin. He's trying Anelka tonight. He's got Palermo on the bench. Palermo's not played yet. I'm not sure if he certainly didn't do it for Rocket Sloths in the Super League back in the day, but maybe he can do it for the Vikings. Anelka's not scored either, struggling a little bit for goals from his strikers, and he's gone from playing with some AMCs. Nikiforenko was in there, I think, or Semak was in there, earlier, wasn't he? Was that my imagination? Or last season, rather. Um, and Jai Sinoni, a little bit like Fulchester, very, very strong here. That kind of core back four, very, very strong. And then Liverani and Sanyol, not bad players there. Costanza in goal has been solid. Anything that scares you here, or makes you a little bit nervous about the outcome of this evening? Are you worried about Anelka and his potential contribution, Scott?
I think Anelka's one of them players that on his day could go and score 2 or 3, but he could quite easily throw in a 6 and not do a great deal. I don't personally like the 2-2-2-2 down the centre,
Mm.
but you know it's a good team. They've got some good players. Jens has tinkered. He was quite set at the start of the season on what formation he was going to play and how he wanted to do it, and did some really good business. But I think a downturn in forms sort of forced him to tweak it a little bit. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, he got he got off to a decent start. Big win, big win. Lost to Gazelles, which perhaps wasn't too surprising given what we've seen from Gazelles since then, and then back into it. A couple of good away games there as well, but then he lost at home to Dudley, drew with Fulchester, lost away at Haggis, and now he's away at you guys, obviously. Feeling a home win here, says Ian Edwards. Let's have a quick look. Alf asks how many coffees Jens have had to stay awake until now, but let's see. Um, Rob says he put Sloths win for a laugh in the prediction. Presume he's off to make a video or something else to celebrate. Let's have a look at how Bostock line up. Vieri listed, so he's not in. Who is this person? Manoli.
It's a young Greek striker that I paid like a few quid for in the auction,
Ah,
and
okay. Right, right,
drafted
right.
him in at um, the last swap between the reserve squads just because I was a bit pissed off with Trezeguet, and so yeah, he's probably never going to play, but he's there.
Yeah, Trezeguet not Trezeguet's fallen out of favour here. Um, Here's how you line up. Talk us through it. Silvestro, the CC at the back, Tudor, Neville. Neville at wingback. I criticised Ryan heavily for playing Gary Neville at wingback occasionally, but I think he actually did quite well there.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One, we've conceded a shit down for a little bit more creativity.
Hello, Scott.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, so a couple of reasons for Neville at right wing back. We've conceded a shit ton of goals. I've been playing Ortega out there, who's done okay, but wanted to try him centrally for a little bit more creativity, and Neville for a little bit more stability.
Mm. Your strikers there, Salva and Paiva. I'm guessing you're hoping that Collins can come in and be a bit of a goal scorer. You've not really had that so far. I mean, Christian Vieri, 8 goals last season and not off to exactly a flying start this one either. Your patience just worn thin with him.
Yeah, I got a little bit frustrated. Tried a few too many different things when I probably shouldn't have done. But we are where we are. We haven't been good enough. Collins, like I said, the reason is purely down to the fact that I think Collins will score more goals.
Well, there's certainly a chance. He certainly has done so far in the game. Brosek could obviously come good as well. Still young, but will continue to develop. And looking at his stats with his acceleration, his pace, his off the ball, and his right hand column already being very very strong. Probably also likely to get better. Um, Milevsky out. Is that a big?
Yeah,
I mean,
really frustrated in that we've been opened up and conceded a lot of goals, but Milevsky, I think he's had a suspension and he's missed 3 or 4 games with international break. He's come back, played one, and now he's injured again.
mm,
He's one of our most important players, so that's a little frustrating. Um, Not had the joy from the um, attacking midfield sort of forward players that I thought I was going to get in terms of creativity. So just still trying to find the right formula of attacking players.
well, we'll see if it works out for you tonight. Salva yet to come good as well. Um, let's hear it in the chat in terms of predictions. Ryan has already put 1-1 up there, so that's an early shout. Um, we'll see if anyone else has anything to contribute in terms of predictions. Trezeguet is dung, says Ian Campbell. Ian Edwards says 2-1 a home win. Neville 18 for wing back, so spot on. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe like a stat thing. Away win says Mega Horse. Dimple goes for a home win. Everyone says 2-1 anyway. Alf says 2-1 away win. Yeah, well, I mean, at least hopefully there'll be goals in it. I mean, probably won't get more goals than in the last game, but we'll see. It looks as if it's going to be a tight one in terms of the predictions here. So we'll kick off the first half and see who gets the better of the first 45. Bostock Stanley at home to Hull's Vikings. And Nelke obviously always a danger. Interesting to see him play. He doesn't get that much game time, obviously, but he seems to have not annoyed his new manager, or his new manager has not annoyed him too much so far. Couple of good chances for Hull's Vikings early on, but Bostock are holding firm and creating chances of their own. But Rivaldo, just as I was going to say that it was turning in Bostock's favour, Rivaldo comes up and puts Hull's 1-0 up. Sinoni coming forward there. Good chance for Bostock, but they just couldn't finish it. I think it was Neville who actually ended up with the last chance. Uh, uh, it's not been ideal, Scott, to be completely honest. It looks as if a little bit of the creativity you mentioned that you were struggling to find is still a little bit of an issue. 2 shots, none on target in the first half.
Yeah, no, it's not ideal at all. We've not been good enough throughout the season, and that's continuing. I've said it all along for the 3 seasons I've been in this league, form and morale are massively important, and we're completely down on both of those. So it's a tough way back.
It's a tough way back. We'll see if Jens is still awake. Oh, it looks as if he is. So we'll see if he has any substitutions to make. It's not been vintage Hull's Vikings, to be completely honest, so far. Just Rivaldo with that little bit of an inspired moment there. He puts them ahead 1-0. Van Nistelrooy still on a 6, not doing himself any favors in terms of being reselected. In the eye, surprisingly only on a 6 as well. I think he's probably one of the best players that Hools have got so far. Keep it as is, please, he says. Bostock still in this, says Ian Edwards. Zidane on a 5. What do you reckon, Scott?
Just a little bit behind. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put on Vieri for Salva to see if he can give us a parting gift, and I'm going to put on Carlos Jacques for Zidane.
We're going to get Shax on for Zidane, and we're going to get, where is it again? Salva, did you say? There we go. Salva on Christian Vieri on. The real Sisu is back, says Mr. Campbell. Well, as you could argue that. Andre on an 8. That's obviously good. No one else really doing the business for you so far. We'll kick off the second half. Things can only get better for Bostock Stanley. They can potentially get worse, but there's a good chance they're going to get better. I would suggest after that first half display with just 2 shots and none on target. Quick early goal from one of the big names, and Maybe that'll turn things around. 15 minutes into the second half and no goals as of yet. Van Nistelrooy starting to, yeah, that is Van Nistelrooy with the perfect solo, and that actually ran the time out. I didn't actually even have a time to stop that. Commiseration, Scott. Not the second half that you were hoping for. It was probably the worst second half in terms of action we've had all evening. But if nothing else, it was quick, if not painless. The end here. Van Nistelrooy picked up a goal for the Vikings there, and I'm afraid it's a little bit more of the same for you boys this season.
Yeah, I think that's probably the worst 90 minutes I've ever had in the Super League, to be honest. And I've been beat 5 and 6 before, but that was fucking shite. We've got work to do.
One, two, three, four, five. 5 action points in the second half overall. I mean, he had set up shithousery with his tactic, obviously, Hools, but it worked out for him. If you look at the stats of the players there, Rivaldo gets an assist, Anelka gets an assist, Van Nistelrooy gets a goal, only a 7, but a very, very solid performance from the Vikings. Unfortunate for the home side. Well done to Jens for staying awake. Um, Bostock Stanley, uh, I mean, there's a couple of players that didn't do too badly. Lisa Rasu out on the left-hand side. Andre didn't disgrace himself in goal. Tudor okay as well, but overall, bit of a rethink for you, Scott, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what next week brings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. You've not really, in terms of the squad. The squad is I would say it's not really weaker than what it was last season, and last season was a completely different picture. So difficult to put a finger on exactly what's.
No, I think I was up and openly said at the start of the season that I felt the squad was more balanced. We strengthened where we needed to. But like I said a few minutes ago, form and morale are massively important, and we've not started very well. So it's hard. It's hard to pick yourself up.
Yeah, just gotta hope for a one win and a half decent run. I think both Hodgie and and Kieran have been in similar situations, definitely in the past, with very very low morale and then gone on a run. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, long season, still many games to play and plenty of chances to pick up points. But obviously a bit of a tough one. We'll see how that affects the table here before we close out for the evening. Just a quick recap of the results. We started off with a very exciting game, Astra and Dragons, a hard-fought 2-2 draw there. We had the Bostock Stanley Hools Vikings 2-0 away win for Hools. Plenty of away wins this evening as well. Dominant Northern Burn performance. We had Fulchester again, quite a dominant performance. Haggis with a second half comeback for a draw there. Locomotive Boston St. Gazelles, nothing doing in that one. And finally, first place Devils losing 5-1 to Sloss after a red card and an injury. In terms of the table, obviously, it's always tight, as it's always going to be in the Super League, as it has been for a while. Devils still out in front, with Gazelles only picking up a point, Lettersford only a point. Hools Vikings back in the promotion picture, leapfrog in Boston, who only picked up a draw. Northern Burn getting very, very close. Dragons are not far off as well. Dudley in there as well. Obviously, I mean, 2 points from from third down to ninth, and then Spartak's lost just behind them as well. Astra Athletic on 11 now, Haggis Hunters on 8, and it's sadly still Bostock Stanley and Churchtown struggling down at the bottom. Making 12th place our own, says Campbell there. Yeah, definitely. Sitting 3 points behind and 3 points ahead, or 4 points ahead rather. Very, very, very solid. Fulchester definitely the form side. Astra decentish form as well, and this very much reflects the table. Let's have a look at the player stats. Kieran Dyer keeps his seat at top of the rankings in Dyer with 833. Nicky Botze, Roberto, Baldis in there for Fulchester. We'll have a look at the goals. Is Impensa on 9? Is Raul on 7? I didn't see that coming. Julian Guerrero the same amount of goals as Sigalco. That's another surprise. And back on 5. In terms of the assist makers in the league, we're looking at Giovanni van Bronckhorst, who now picked up an injury. Rui Costas on 6, Barry Ferguson still on 5. Yeah, there's plenty of big names in here. Michael Owen on 4 in the assist charge. That's a bit of a surprise. Let's have a quick look at the comments. Devil says 13 conceded is disgusting. 8 of those in 2 games. Yeah, well, sometimes it just happens like that, Fifey, unfortunately. Got to get used to swallowing a few of those now that you're, I mean, top of the table. You weren't complaining about well, you were complaining about conceding goals before, but now you've got different expectations now. I can see that. Anyway, quick look at the fixtures before we go. Bostock, well, you travel to Boston next week, so what
I'm going to
the
shit out some.
It's gonna be the nillest nil-nil in human history that we're gonna be in for next week. Um, Full chest at home to Asta. That's a tough trip for Asta. That one. Haggis Hunters face a very very tough trip to Gazelles as well. Hull's Vikings, who have a bit of momentum now with that win, but they face a Sloss side who are going to be buzzing after their victory. Letters for Dragons, I think it's going to be very interesting. Probably a very even game there. Yourself traveling to the shithouse capital of the Super League. Northern Burn
If he
against.
plays one attacking player against bottom of the league next week, he should resign. It's an absolute disgrace.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he rises to the challenge. Um, you have conceded 23 goals though, so I think it should be brave to he should be brave enough to maybe play 2 strikers, but we'll see. Dudley face a very very tough trip to Northern Burn there, and Devils have every chance to get back to winning ways as they face bottom of the table Churchtown in the last game of the season, last game of the evening rather. If depending on who's on comms, obviously we'll see. On comms tonight was Scott Sadler. Sorry about this result, Scott. It was a pleasure to have you on. The boys in the chat are very impressed by your performance as a co-commentator, if less so as a manager. I hope you still enjoyed it, at least the first 6 games.
No, it's good. It's always good to be on. Yeah, no problem at all. Anytime.
Great to have you with us, and great to have you with us in the chat. All 17 of you, bloody hell, at 11 o'clock. Well done, guys. Well, I guess no one's got to get well. Maybe Greavesy, but not that many people have to get up early in the morning anyway for the bank holiday. Um, I hope you enjoy. Well, Jens, obviously, no holidays in Norway. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. The packs will be out at some point in the morning, whenever I wake up and decide to do it. And yeah, games again shortly. Ryan will confirm, I'm sure, when the deadline is and when we'll see you all again for more action in the Super League. So thank you very much, Scott. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching at home. Enjoy the
Cheers,
rest of the
guys. See
evening.
you later.
Have a good night.